Namaskar. You are watching Global Governance News TV, and I am Kumar Akish. Today we are going to discuss about the Hizab politics. Now, Hizab politics of breaking the Bharat or uniting the Bharat. This is a matter of concern. And as we know it, how this going to be out of control now. And very good statement by the Congress leader. Government should resolve hijab controversy. Opposition parties should not use it for political gains. But simultaneously, the leader of the
You
Congress,
have
the senior leader,
saved
General
messages.
Secretary,
Saved
General
message.
Secretary of Congress, Priyanka Gandhi, is blamed BJP for this controversy. So that is the differences in Congress. And many times the party is the differences, the big party, old party. So one leader opposition and Rajya Sabha is speaking another way. Priyanka Gandhi is another way. So we can understand how this the tussle over the hijab, head scarf and saffron scarves continue to spread to more colleges in Karnataka and are trying to be Mr. Owaisi. Incidentally, and they are claiming I'm 94 from since 94 in politics. Mr. Owaisi is trying to use this controversy and UP election, where it is claimed more than 22% Muslim voters are there. So this is also just you can we can understand how they are trying to play politics to the school boys and girls. Before that, there was no controversy. Now, trying to be making the controversy, making the issues in this election. Even in the High Court is set to clear the petition filed by the Muslim students, which is spark of the in Udupi Women's College, PU College, is spark out now December 2021. So politics has taken center stage in this issue. As protests spread to more institutions with saffron scarves, spotting Hindu students demanding ban on hijab-clad Muslim students in more colleges are shutting gates and a dress code violating students, leveling it the Talibanization and go to Pakistan. Leaders of BJP have lashed out at a student demanding the hijab be allowed. Congress and Janata Dal, secular, with the party in the one from in the Karnataka, leaders have come in support for the Muslim students, urging the state government to not infringe on their fundamental rights to education. Under immense pressure from the protesting students, Karnataka government Saturday banned the clothes that disturb equality, integrity, and public law and order in educational institutions. And as we know it, this is December 2021. This is the hijab versus saffron scarf. Now set going to be the election plan, trying to be 3rd January, 6th January, 31st January, 2nd February. This is dates where they're trying to be just politicizing the issues. And many leaders also tweet like that. And where the opposition parties, Congress, JDS, going after the Prime Minister Narendra Modi slogan, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. But it doesn't mean just you are trying to imposing your theory of Islamization and Talibanization, as I think. So we have the esteemed panelist, uh, Bandana Jinganji, senior journalist from Chicago, USA, Alok Laharji, senior journalist and political analyst from the Spain, Divya Raiji, a senior advocate and also social activist and political activist from Bharat, who was practicing Supreme Court of India, and Mr. Nandaji from USA, also just always active and pro Bharat. So as today, I'll take the inputs from the Divyaji first. How Divyaji, how do you analyze the whole situation and how this is a matter of court also, matter of society also, matter of the Muslim society also, and Bharat also. Unmute yourself, Divyaji.
Sorry.
Unmute you. Please,
See,
thank
as
you.
the Karnataka High Court, the matter is now pending before the Karnataka High Court. It has been referred to a larger bench. But as the Karnataka High Court rightly observed that they will judge the matter completely within the four walls of Constitution of India. And as far as the Constitution of India is concerned, the petitioners who have approached the Honorable Karnataka High Court, their submission was that they have a right to wear hijab. That is their fundamental right. So, fundamental right, Article 21 gives you the freedom to wear whatever you want. But hijab, then at the same time, it is not, no fundamental right is absolute. So you have to see the situation. Hijab means you can cover your head, that's okay. But when you are covering your face, it cannot be that. I mean,
Yeah.
you cannot relate it to your fundamental right, because then there will be no limit where you want to cover your face. You want to take an exam, you want to cover your face. Nobody knows who is which person is taking the exam. Maybe there is one person on the admit card, the hall ticket. There is another person inside the hijab covering her face or his face also and taking the exam. Then the second thing is Article 25, which gives you the freedom to practice any religion. But is hijab actually a part of Muslim religion? That is another issue. There have been Supreme Court judgments which say hijab is not actually a part of Muslim religion.
Yeah.
So you're covering your face is not your fundamental right. You cannot cover your face. You cannot. Then there can be other situations where the covering your face cannot be allowed. So this is what the Karnataka High Court has made correct observations in the matter, according to me.
But Kerala High Court also earlier made a statement also, the decision also. This is
Yes, yes.
illegal. This should not be allowed.
Illegal, and this should not be
Illegal.
allowed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is why I said the law has already been settled in this matter.
But why now, Vandana ji? How just Divya ji just to take input of the legal angle with the social angle also? Vandana ji, how just you analyze the situation? Just you are sitting in USA, and there is also many Muslim ladies are there, and I think so many countries hijab has been banned recently in Denmark and France and Switzerland, many countries. So why this for? If you are living in this country, wherever country you live, you should follow the rules. Not religion should become in the social ethics and values. Religion is a separate thing, and as far as the Bharat is a secular country.
Namaskar to all the co-panelists, Divyaji, Alokji, Nandaji, and Kumar Rakeshji. Thank you for hosting this show, and to our viewers. I'm like, as being me, a woman, it is very disgusting, the century that we are living in. And as Divyaji did mention, this is nowhere in the Islam that hijab is part of it. I always feel if you want to see me, I want to see you too, equally, likewise. Means, and why before these elections, like when the elections are going on, it is called fanaticism, nothing else, to be honest. What are they trying to prove? And in today's time, the irony is the people, those who are protesting, the girl whose video went viral, she did not even realize what kind of images of hers are available on the net. Before even she could reach home, those images are out. So it is the same. And we are seeing, to me, it seems like another toolkit which is coming on time planned basis. Like, oh, elections are coming. So 10th elections are starting. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. So this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Nothing, I mean, like, if you talk about who's this Malala, like Halala Malala, who got the Nobel Prize, she comes and talks about the convenience, what it suits, like, they tweet. Means,
Yeah.
don't you see? I do have that thing right in front of me, and I'm just seeing somebody countered her. She said, I'm just going to read it. Colleges is forcing us to choose between studies and the hijab. Refusing to let girls go to the school in their hijab is horrifying. Objectification of women persist for wearing less or more. Indian leaders must stop the marginalization of Muslim women. So somebody answered, oh, really? why you kept quiet on the triple talaq issue, why you're talking about nikah, halala empowers them. So you are very selective. I mean, when you are picking up an issues. So these kind of, because as it is convenient, you come out and speak, and then, and we saw that what happened during the farmers' protest. So, music, you just face it. There was a supporter right in my neighboring country, the head of the country, Justin Trudeau. Less than a year, he faced the music and his tone has totally changed. It's reversed. So, this should not be because, and when we talk about equality, we're talking about, we just a few days ago, I think 2 days ago, we are installing the Statue of Equality in the city of Hyderabad, um, in the state of Telangana. I really want to say place of work, or you can do whatever you want to do within your own home, your own temples or your mosque, whatever it suits you. But when you're coming out for the safety of mine, to be very honest, I mean, as she was mentioning, it is very dangerous in today's time. When you cover up yourself, you can just see your eyes and nobody knows who's in there. Writing an exam is a one simple example, but shooting, like, planting bombs, something somebody can do it, nobody will be able to, because there is no such camera which will be able to uh, see you beyond your covers. So that's what I really want. And I shared a video with you, Kumar Rakesh ji. If you really
Yeah.
want to play that, you can just do so. Because once the narrative is set, because once the ruling has come out, it should not be even allowed to talk about it. And these kind of leaders, those who are coming out and seeking their roti on this, should not be allowed. Priyanka, I'm like joke of a century. You are planting a girl who's wearing bikinis and going out, and she's your candidate, and you're talking about that. So that's we are playing with the sentiments of people, and now it's a time for people to wake up. Because what will happen? I was sleeping before. You shook me up. Now I'm not going to be quiet, because they started it, and ours was only the reaction to the action that they, because earlier we used to be quiet. I have seen it, to be very honest, living in the Western world. Divyaji, you will be surprised. When 9/11 happened, all these people, they went off, their hijab went off, their beards went off, and Bhagi Nandaji can be witness to this. And suddenly we see that it is popping up again and again. Mother never wears hijab, but the daughter, who is just 8 years old or 9 years old, and she's talking about. So that's what, where the difference is coming out. Like, and I'm just seeing this in the community, and I'm speaking out with an, means, a reality, not like I'm just he said or she said. What I've seen it, I'm saying that. Thank you.
When you mention what you are seeing, I have seen in my own neighborhood, there is a family. They were quite progressive, and their dress sense was very, very modern, you can say. Their daughter, she was always, you could find her in jeans and very modern kind of tops and all. And all of a sudden, everything changed. They all started wearing, burqas, and their, or even a 9-year-old girl, she was made to wear headscarf. And so we were all very surprised. And all of a sudden, they kind of isolated themselves. We live in a multi-storied building. They were so friendly with everyone, and then all of a sudden everything changed. So I think there is, some forces, there's some groups, whatever it may be, they are trying to kind of reinforce a very, a
Yeah.
sense of identity. I mean, a sense of, it's not identity. I mean, overemphasized sense of identity is being reinforced for whatever reason. That's
You
Yeah.
what I
you
feel, and
just
that's what.
mentioned you just mentioned very progressive, because it's becoming the joke, the world, the meaning of progressive
Looks
now.
like Vandanaji, looks
No,
like
no,
very
no, no,
progressive.
no.
Now
I'm
you
just
can see.
saying, because when we're talking about how to define progressiveness, now it has become, this is called progressiveness. We are seeing so-called leftists, they talking out, coming out then, and they claim themselves to be, oh, we are very progressive. Oh, hello. Means, thank you. Carry on, please. Over to Rakesh
No,
ji.
no, this is all wanted to say that this is overemphasized sense of identity that is being instilled in them. So through
Yeah.
hijab and through their sense of dressing, you know, I
So,
mean,
okay, Nanda ji, how just Divya ji say and Bandana ji say? Do you think this is
Rakesh
a
ji, can you hear me?
yeah, yeah? I I think. Do you hear me, Nanda ji?
Hello?
Nanda ji, you are good. You can good to go.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I cannot hear.
No, my voice is coming to you now. Do you hear me? Some problem. Okay, so I think network issue it may be. So Alok ji, how just you analyze the things? There's two inputs from the Vandana ji and Divya ji. One of just for surprisingly, one family changed their identities after some call and whatever, all confused. And how do you think this new agenda, new toolkit to breaking Bharat in the name of the Hizab politics? Do you think so?
Good evening, Kumar Rakeji and fellow panelists, and also our viewers. Like it's more than clear. At times I often wonder, like, why can't people see through to these kind of things?
Now
I'll tell
seeing
you some,
protests.
I'll tell you something which is very interesting, and that is, in the 16th century in Spain, there was this fashion of having a cape. Like we see Superman having a cape at the back of his dress. So this
Okay.
was integral part of the dressing of you have seen that movie called Zorro, and you'll probably be thinking why I'm talking about this. So Zorro has his cape at the back, when he jumps from any place, he sits on his horse and he goes away, then you see that cape flying. So that was integral part of anybody who was getting dressed in the 16th century. And what they used to do is that they used to take the cape and they used to put it around their face and everything. And they used to go and, loot the treasury or the king's treasury, and these kind of things were happening. And we've also seen, this kind of thing happening in the Three Musketeers, if you remember the movie.
Yeah.
There was
Very
a prime
famous movie.
minister. There was a
Very
prime
famous movie.
minister in Spain who passed a law. I'm talking about 16th century, okay? Who passed a law that the length of the cape would be cut into half. So what was the reason for this is that in case you're wearing half the cape, then you can't cover your face. So any kind of, the lights were low in those times. They used to have the kerosene lamps, which were lit at night. There was no electricity in those times. So visibility was a very important thing. And this is what, Divyaji has also mentioned, that impersonification which is there. If this particular person, he has to go to the airport and take a flight, what will they say? I will not take off my hijab. And maybe, under pressure, like we in India, we get under pressure very, very soon. And the religious sentiment and I don't know what, then, there's a complete team and a team A, team B, team C, which goes around like this. If it is simple and plain, like it has happened in a republic which we have in the neighboring country, which is France, they say either you do it like this, no external expression of any religion is allowed. That is secularism. And I understand secularism is like this. Your religion, you can have it in your house. Unless and until it is disturbing me, then it should not be allowed. So the situation, how do I see it? I mean, in Europe, there are some people who are tying their, some scarf around the head or something like this. But then normally people are coming here. When they're coming here, the main reason when you're leaving your country and you're coming to Europe, what are you doing? You're basically trying to get away from that fundamentalism. What you cannot do is then you come and the second generation comes and tells you that, yes, I'm interested in going back to my roots. Then you go back to your country. It's as simple and plain. So when the Constitution of India, the word which was sneaked in as, it has to be secular. Then secular doesn't mean that it is in favor of one religion or the other religion. And if you see the trajectory, the CAA protest or the violence in Delhi, or any kind of this also which is happening. Or there was a controversy a few days ago that you know mm, certain people were allowed to do their namaz in the base in in the there was a kind of a lobby of a temple. So all these things, all this is just a show of power. It's power show in the streets. And the only this doesn't happen all by itself. Some political parties, some political interest is pushing this. I really doubt that the Muslims actually think of a plan and they say, okay, we are going to go and disturb people. It doesn't happen like this, because majority of the normal people, they are so busy fighting for a livelihood that they cannot think of these things. So there are certain brains who work behind it. So what Vandana said, that this is another toolkit, it is definite, and it happens at a certain time only. It doesn't just happen. And which is very crazy. What is very crazy is that women in Saudi Arabia, where Islam starts, they are now allowed to go uncover their face. They are fighting for more liberty for women. If you go to Afghanistan, we have seen thousands and thousands of women are on the streets. They're taking the streets and they're saying, we want education and we don't want this. And in a country where it is not part of our normal uh, when you live in a country, there is a normal way of dressing of that country. So this has not been the normal way of dressing of our country. It is not part of our culture. Like, for example, salwar kameez could have been part of our culture from Punjab or whatever, but it is
Salwar kameez is now the global. Salwar kameez is now going to be global now, and every
It
religion.
can be global. What I'm saying is that it is not part of our culture. So you don't adapt something which is not part of your culture. It is somewhere, you take it from somewhere, and then you say, let's say tomorrow there is this Jain person, who is a Digambar Jain, and he says, I have taken Diksha and I want to go naked. Will I be allowed to sit in the class like that? So it is part of my religion. It doesn't work like that.
That is matter of question. I'll take the Nandaji, but there's time of break, and after break will come and ask the religion is to be for education or not, and that should be part of the education. Please, it's time of break. Welcome after break. So we are talking about the Hizab politics, and now it is for breaking of Bharat or the making the Bharat. So Nandaji, just you, just I was trying to connect you. And just
First of all, thank you, Rakeshji, for having this time-bound or timely session. I really appreciate it. And this is one of the sessions so far in the last 20 minutes. I have agreed with all the panelists, with including Alok ji, Vandana ji, and Divya ji. Well, they covered very key points. I want to add few points. What are my observations? Again, I'm not an expert on Islamic traditions or wearing, but I share. So, if you look at any court in India right now, like there is a justice statue where they've covered the eyes, but not the ears, not any part of the face or any part of the body except the eyes. So if you look at the Sanatana Dharma, the foundation of Sanatana Dharma, that is what it is. Basically, they, again, when you look at something, whether it is an animal or a person or a plant, your mind start judging about it, whether it's beautiful or not beautiful, or whether it's ugly. All these thoughts comes into your mind when your eyes are open. But when your eyes are closed and you pay attention to your ears and your nose and your other four other senses, then basically you try to assimilate or make a informative opinion about a thing or a person or anything. So the reason if you look at the court system, the legal system, everywhere they put the justice with closed eyes. That is actually the fundamental principle of Sanatana Dharma. And here the problem is, like our panelists mentioned, all these things pop up for a minute, and then without realizing, now we are living in a social media, and where you say one word, there are million references going back, and people can find out in less than milliseconds what you are really, So here the missing point here is, again, in your personal or in your space you can do whatever you want, but when you're in a common ground, in an office space or a college or a school or anywhere, you need to have a common civil code. That's where I think it's a long way to
Yeah.
go. But again, we come back to this common civil code in terms of sharing the same stage. Okay, if you're in a community or if you're in your own house or mosque, then you do whatever you want. But when you are in a common ground, and it cannot be one way, like this is what we always been for the last 75 years, pseudo secularism. We are forced to believe in something which we are not as a country, and they have been tried for 400 years, and now they are tried for the last 67 years. And when things are changing for a better, for a given state or country, and I know exactly there are only 5 people in US, at least the lobbyists, who are pro Islam and pro radical groups. They fund, again, I'm stating on the camera, like a country like Pakistan, which is bankrupt, we all know, but they still fund at least $250,000 per month for lobbying in DC. Whereas India, we have hundreds of billionaires. We don't spend a single penny. Even a biggest giant like Reliance or Mukesh Ambani, they don't spend $1 on DC lobbying. So that's a big difference. Like I think we need to learn that. Basically that missing piece. I told multiple times, there are only these half a dozen or a few dozen people in every country who polarize and who fund the initiatives and try to turn the system or politicians to their feet. If they don't listen, as we all know, the integrity and non-corruption of Modi ji, he won't bend to anybody except dharma and truth. And you take him to a big packet of money or big packet of projects, he won't listen to anything until he is convinced, not 100 but 1,000%, 10 ways that this is help my country or help my state, then only he'll act on it. So they tried all the tricks for the last 5 years, 6 years, and obviously the India is at a GDP growth is the number one, ahead of China, ahead of everybody. And if it continues for the next as Jeff Bezos predicted, 21st century is the Indian century. And the number two richest man in the world, who said on the camera, like, next 100 years, it is an Indian 100 years. We're saying that, again, he didn't say just out of his emotion or just because he visited India, he just want to please people. He knows the data. He's a data scientist, and he is, there is a reason to believe, because all the four levers are acting in favor of India. And now people who are anti-India, whether there are millions inside and some millions outside, they got panic and they need to create some disturbance. First start with a false propaganda, like, hey, a Muslim woman was attacked or harassed by hundreds of saffron guys. So if you look at the video which was circulated, the same, let's reverse the table, like, let's reverse from Muslim girl to Hindu girl and put 100 Muslim guys, and that would be a disaster scenario. If they use reverse the tables, it would be a manhandling and even a rape, or even much more, even killing. So the point is, when we turn the tables, people, they are emotional. Nobody has time more than few minutes to get to the bottom of this. The bottom of this, like, everybody, I agree with that. It's nothing but a toolkit. We need a very stringent laws which will not only penalize in money but have a jail time. If this toolkit is made, we can track down. And now we have technologies on WhatsApp, everything can be tracked down to the source. And if you find the source, somebody, some political party or some alliance with political party initiated this, they should be jailed for at least 5 or even 7 or 10 years. If you do for one judgment like that, then there are million people alerted. They'll try to find some new ways. So we don't have those laws in the freedom of speech, in the freedom of news, press, whatever it is. All these freedoms are abused because these are abused by people who are supporting Islam and supporting CCP, Chinese party. So I'll tell you the basic two fundamental problems here. The freedom of speech, you cannot do that in any of the 60 countries, Islamic countries, in the name of freedom of speech. What they are trying to do it in India, I challenge everybody to take the same concept and do it in China or do it in any
You
of
are
the
really,
Islamic
Nanda,
countries.
you are really just raised a valid question, Vandana ji. is this the way of the freedom of expression and freedom of speech? And there is also, I don't think that this is a violation of the Indian constitution.
Today we are seeing like this, as per my convenience. And we speak, we open our mouth as per my convenience. We use our fingers as per our convenience. I just read the tweet of Malala, whom a lot of people, like, what is Malala's history? Let's go back. Let's go back. On what basis she got the Nobel Peace Prize? I just want to ask, where is she now sitting? What is she doing? Did she go back to those women that whom she is representing? She is having a life of her lifetime, sitting in London. So these kind of narratives, what Nandaji was mentioning, our philanthropist people have to realize, means it is, they are putting a lot of money here. It is not even the big and industrialists of India, but they are putting into educational institutes. Uh, let this be Stanford, let this be Harvard and all. But they have to realize, put your money where it is worth, because what's happening now, that is also because our educational institutes, we have just seen it, what happened in the state of California when they are bringing Hindu phobia, I mean caste politics. What the caste has got to do in the United States of universities? My nieces and nephews, those who are born here, they are not even aware of it, like, because second or third generation, you forget Brahmin, Kshatriya, because we all come from, we are Indian Americans. That's what it is. So when we're talking about, we have to make sure, and as we discussed already, why it is on this specific time. So this convenience of speaking and the name of freedom of speech, this is very ridiculous. But they are let them go kind of thing. We saw that what happened. Where were we last year on 2021 in this day? We were all shocked, like, and were still overcoming what happened in Red Fort on 26th of January. We were still able not to. 1 year has passed. I'm still not able to overcome what happened in Shaheen Bagh. I'm still seeing those images. So when we are talking, if need, it is a 911 need now to change the laws. Don't let these kind of people trail it. This is means find the trail where it is heading to, because sitting from outside India doing it, because definitely there are people involved. There is no doubt. We just saw that 2 days back, all these companies, Hyundai, Kia, and all these gangsters, what are they talking about? Kashmir issue, again, before elections. Just see that, how they planned all these things. But now the people of our nation, our motherland, are getting engaged. How many bookings got cancelled in the fraction of hours, Nandaji? 3,200 in Delhi.
Yes.
But as you just said, Jeff Bezos said the next century belongs to India. So all these companies, what for they are going to India? Not because unka koi pyar hai ya prem hai. It is not because of the prem, because it is all about the mal that they are going to get, because India is the biggest consumer. People have to realize that. And I want to share, one of a family got their daughter married in Ludhiana. You can imagine, just Google it out. Can you imagine how many BMWs did they order? 80 plus. 80 plus. Because they had so much money. Can we imagine that, right? Sitting here, even in the United States of America. So Indians have a lot of money. It is not. But this kind of things now, there has to put a stop to it. Because India is really into the path of progress. Where we were, where we are today, if these kind of things keeps happening, just imagine, because to counter, media will put, getting the debates, getting all these people talking about it. Because what progress has happened, we'll not be able to discuss that. We'll only be spending our energy on discussing this kind of nonsense issues, to be honest. Thank you. You are muted, Kumar
You are
Rakesh.
muted, Rakesh.
Sorry. So actually, some technical fault was there. So sorry. So just Divyaji, just how just you rated and how do you analyze the whole situation? Somebody's some Congress party and NCP and others are blaming this is a election gimmicks. This is a BJP has just tried to make the issue just for the gain of the political gains in the election is going to start from tomorrow. So what do you think? This is really the election gimmicks and the due to election plague, or just for the cause of the fundamentalist? They are trying to create the issue, such issue there is no issue.
So you are right, Rakesh. There is actually no issue. They are trying to create this issue because, I mean, this is something. In India, there have been Muslims throughout. There never this issue as we are like moving ahead, and then there is no occasion for this issue to crop up. Had it been in past, had there been an issue like this in past, and then all of a sudden it crops up. So definitely, I think it's not an issue. Actually, not an issue. People are trying to make it an issue by insisting that this is their fundamental right to wear a hijab, which I think they cannot be insisted upon. It cannot be insisted upon an issue like this. There is no fundamental right. It is a settled law. If you see it legally, it is a settled law that this is not a fundamental issue, that you will not show your face, as Jingan ma'am rightly said, you see me, I see you. That is the way it should be. So there are so many places where you don't show your face. It cannot happen that way. Be it exams, if you are at the airport, if you're traveling everywhere. And then there will not be a limit to it. As one of the panelists rightly said, that suppose there is some Digambar some Jain, after taking Diksha, he might say that I want to go to the school naked because that is my religious right. So there will not be a limit to it if these issues are allowed to crop up, and it has to be stopped. And I'm very hopeful that the courts of the matter is before court now, and then courts will definitely come to a reasonable conclusion. They will come to a reasonable conclusion to this. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and also I would like to
Nice.
add 2 points, Rakesh. See,
Please.
Malala, who got Nobel Prize for girls and women's rights and education, she made a U-turn actually just because she won a Nobel Prize and made few million and good living. Now she is actually controlled by these Islamic groups and radical Islamic groups, and basically, like using her as a platform to convey this message, which is, she should have basic common sense, and question something herself first. Hey, I got my Nobel Prize, I got my living, I saved my life because of fighting myself for my own rights, and then became an inspiration for millions of girls and women. And she gave up that fundamental, reason for success and trying to promote such a narrative. Joining this tool, gang is surprising to me, too, honestly. Because she should not, within 24 hours, she should not even have commented on this, and we should have even, filed some petition and change.org and revert her Nobel Prize. Because if somebody give up their basic reason of holding a Nobel Prize, if they can't keep up until they leave, they don't deserve it. Okay, at one point she may did it, but now she changed it, she don't deserve it anymore.
Okay. So nice of you. Actually, one clips I have just received of Miss Sanju Burma. She's a writer also, and she's a national spokesperson of BJP. If you allow me, just you can run about just this hijab controversy. Please just have a look.
Friends, I want to talk about this raging controversy regarding hijab and whether it should be allowed within educational institutions. So first and foremost, let me tell you that the Bombay High Court in 2003, the Madras High Court in 2006, the Kerala High Court in 2018, and even the Supreme Court in 2015 clearly banned the wearing of hijab within educational institutions. So legally, the decision is very clear on that one. Point number one. Point number two, people say if Sikh community can wear turbans, then why are Muslim women not being allowed to wear a hijab? So there is a judgment as recently as November 2021 where the Punjab and Haryana High Court said that turbans are essential to the Sikh religion. The same cannot be said about hijab, and this is not me saying it. The fact that hijab does not find any specific mention in Quran is something that has been acknowledged by Islamic scholars. In fact, close to 54 Muslim countries where Islam is the state religion have banned hijab, barring in Iran or some parts of Turkey. So don't give this excuse that hijab is centric to Islamic religion. It is not. Point number three, and most importantly, Muslim women have been saying, we have to wear hijab. It is a fundamental right guaranteed under right to equality under Article 15 and 14 of the Indian Constitution, under the right to practice our religion under Article 25. Yes, Article 14, 15, 25 are fundamental rights, but you forget no fundamental right operates in a vacuum. Every fundamental right in the country is subject to public order, morality, and health. Also, the most important thing is that there is the Karnataka State Education Act of 1983, Section 133(2), which clearly says that anyone within an educational institution needs to adhere to a particular dress code. So this is not about choice. This is about discipline within an educational institution that needs to be adhered to by the relevant stakeholders. And yes, that girl in the video saying Allahu Akbar, I don't think she's a Sherni. No Sherni supports misogyny. No Sherni supports a regressive mindset. No Sherni supports patriarchy. शेरनियों को बदनाम करना बंद करिए.
Yeah, शेरनियों को बदनाम करना बंद कीजिए. This is the thoughts, and
And we should actually something. We should actually request Avdeshanandji, the head of the Juna Akhada, to send all the sadhus, the Naga sadhus, to the universities and the schools now. So let's see that. And then we'll
Okay,
say.
Vandanaji, this is your feeling, and how it just Modi government will just see it is matter of concern of the local government also, but it's your sentiments. We regard your sentiments, and whatever is going on, we have to look into, and who are just making the politics some fundamentalist. So this is also duty of the government, or the Karnataka government and the government of India, so to stop them accordingly for the peace, prosperity, and humanity for our united Bharat. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you.